We talked about how the UN is trying to make Western nations give out money to the rest of the world like we haven't been doing it for the last 50 years. Now they're using it under the guise of health care for the world.
Medicine should not be sold, should not be a commercial business. You should make a declaration that medicine should be free of charge, that vaccination should be given free to children, so that capitalist countries or capitalist companies make the viruses and make the vaccinations, and they want to make a profit. And why don't we make it free of charge? Why don't we give it free?
The communists in the media are working overtime trying to push the importance of big pharmaceutical solutions, even though they have not been properly tested. Well, this sounds like another money grab, and maybe they don't have our best interests at heart. Joining us now is Robert Scott Bell, who's been keeping his eye on this big pharma for us.
Thanks again, Michael. The President of the United Nations, perhaps we should refer to Obama this way. I mean, last week we covered this idea that the UN wanted money from all the rich nations because we're not given enough for the poor nations, but in reality this was just a redistribution of wealth from us to the pharmaceutical industrial complex. These are global institutions almost. I mean, there's certainly corporations that have no allegiance to any nation or state, least of all these United States, and it upsets me greatly that this is the way we're promoting health care around the world, much less in our own country. And this week I've been following so many stories in relation not only to the swine flu, but also the FDA-approved pharmaceuticals. And I'm not here to say, neither are you, of course, that there's never a place for a drug. That's never been the argument or point. But what is happening is that we've become so programmed, so institutionalized in the thought that every ailment, every symptom has to be met with a synthetic substance approved by the FDA. And I'm just thinking that's a little out of balance. That's out of whack. Absolutely out of whack. And now, I was traveling from Boston. I was at the Natural Products Expo East. This is, a big industry that's actually still thriving in the midst of a lot of downturn of our economy. There's actually a good segment of the economy as a lot of Americans are saying, hey, maybe I should be looking toward nature to nourish my body, to help my kids get strong and healthy, have good immune systems. And they're doing well. I'm coming back on the plane. I'm watching Fox News, and they got Dr. Pretty up there. They have the beautiful doctor coming on saying everybody should get a swine flu shot.
Play the clip.
The side effects are so mild. It's some redness and soreness at the site of the injection. That's all we've seen. I mean, that is so much less. If you weigh the risks and the benefits from giving the vaccine, a little redness for a day or so versus being sick or potentially dying from the vaccine, it doesn't make sense. I mean, from the illness, it doesn't make sense.
So you suggest that we vaccinate the kids with both the seasonal flu vaccine and the swine flu vaccine?
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking, wait a second, wasn't this all about the fact that they thought it was going to mutate and be devastating to the entire planet? Millions, hundreds of millions of people could die. And now they're arguing that because it hasn't mutated, that everybody should get the shot because now it's a better match. Also ignoring the fact, as we've discussed before on your program, Michael, that the flu shot, the annual one, doesn't reduce mortality in any of the targeted groups. And these things have been published in the peer-reviewed journals.
So where do we go from here?
Now we look at the FDA-approved pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, let's give the credit where drugs can do some things, but when we're over-relying upon them, the disasters that can happen. There's news out of, this came from some studies here, Avastin, a breast cancer drug. It's already been on the market. It's a blockbuster, an absolute blockbuster drug for Roche. And now they're actually thinking, wow, we might have to pull this. We had to halt enrollment in our study, a National Cancer Institute-sponsored study for Avastin, because why? It was actually causing heart failure.
Oh, my God.
Heart failure. Now, call me cynical, but, that's one way to reduce cancer deaths is give them a cancer drug, they die of a heart attack. That makes no sense. That's absurd. Now we also have, this is a drug I've covered over the years, Januvia, for pancreatic disorders, of course, diabetes. And Januvia has been on the market for years, but now a number of patients have developed pancreatitis, a deadly pancreatic disease, an inflammation. They could die of the drug that they're taking for their pancreas. Again, This makes little to no sense if we're looking at the reality that most people suffering from diabetes actually have a deficiency of a key mineral known as chromium. And the science is there to support that. But no, we can't support natural supplements. We have to look to Drug America. But this is the result. Deaths. The FDA approved deaths, so it's okay. It's just a statistic. It's the price of doing business. And I feel that I want to support and defend life, not have the government approve death-inducing drugs, although I would defend anybody's right if they feel it's the right way to go. Now, we got Avastin. We got Merck's Januvia. We've got also now Tamiflu, right? We've talked about this as well. Tamiflu, supposedly, after all of the studies, all of the hype, all of the millions of dollars that has been transferred from the U.S. taxpayer to the maker of Tamiflu. And they only find out that at the end of the day, it reduces duration maybe about half a day. But it looks like they've labeled it wrong. They're actually telling people how to take it in milliliters or drops or teaspoons. Nobody knows how to do the math, and they're saying people are going to overdose on this thing. Did they withdraw it? Did they make them change it? No, it's still out there. But imagine, Michael, if a dietary supplement were labeled incorrectly, or if a dietary supplement were to cause heart failure.
Well, you talk about a classic double standard.
It's beyond a double standard. It's a no standard. And here we've got, the psychiatric profession. I've heard you rail on them, and appropriately so, because they're just digging in their heels and putting their patients on antidepressant drugs right, left, and center. In fact, if they have, in the medical profession, can't diagnose you, they don't know what it is, and you're still sick, they'll actually recommend you go to a psychiatrist to get on an SSRI drug. This week, we're now seeing a risk associated with the use of SSRIs like Zoloft and Lustril and Celexa. These were named in the report, causing septal heart defects in babies. In other words, they're putting mothers, I don't know, are they doing this for prepartum depression? They're actually putting mothers on SSRI drugs the first trimester. And these children are being born, more likely to be born with heart defects, septal wall defects. I mean, this is, harming children before they're born. They're not even getting a chance to get to be an adult to choose to take a drug or not. And these little babies are becoming victimized by what we call this incestual, illicit relationship between non-governmental organizations like the United Nations and Big Pharma, as well as our own government. What happened to the love of liberty, the love of the free market and capitalism? Can't the drug industry compete without a monopoly, without attacking all natural supplements in order to, let's say, clear the terrain so that only they are allowed to so-called prevent, cure, treat, mitigate disease? Does that make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't make any sense to me either. And that's why, again, I appreciate all of the opportunity that we have together to restore liberty, to restore health, sanity to this nation, because this loss of liberty is at least partially due to a loss of health liberty, a loss of the concept that we can care for ourselves better than the government, better than Obamacare, better than Hillary care, better than Senator Baucus care. That we have these answers. They're already there. They may be in your health food store. They may be in your doctor, but your doctor is not allowed to go for a natural option. They go after his license too. And there are a lot of good doctors out there that are trying to encourage this better behavior, better diet, but the government and the licensing agencies stand in the way. Thanks, Michael, for standing up for the freedom of the doctors everywhere to do the right thing as well. I appreciate the time that we have together.
Where can we read more?
Check out the blog, Google Robert Scott Bell, or go to my blog. You can hear the podcast and updates on this and many subjects related to this so that your health is not taken down inadvertently by those coming with conflicts of interest from government. So just check it out at robertscottbell.blogspot.com. Thanks for helping me rock the Savage Nation.
Well, thanks for the report, Robert.